Been talking about this myth that God spanks people. I am Marissa Franks-Burt, and I, along with my co-author, Kelsey Kramer McGinnis, have written the forthcoming book, The Myth of Good Christian Parenting, How False Promises Betrayed a Generation of Evangelical Families. So we talked in the last reel about how it's unhelpful to look to a passage like Hebrews 12 and be like, oh, it talks about fatherhood, therefore this will tell us how we should parent. Alongside that, I find it really curious. This is something interesting about serving a number of resources over a number of years. What passages never show up, even in that endeavor? For instance, passages like this is God speaking through the prophets to a rebellious, generations of rebellious people who have directly and repeatedly chosen rebellion, but speaks to them as a father. I have upheld you since your birth and have carried you since you were born. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he who will sustain you. I have made you and I will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. Gorgeous. The whole passage is gorgeous. You can go read the whole thing. I'll read the whole book. It's quite different than a starting point that says God will spank. And in this overarching framework of we spank and require instant unquestioning obedience because that is what God requires. Or even here, which does come in a passage of correction to, again, the rebellious wilderness generation. But I love this imagery. It shows up a couple other places in the prophets of God holding Israel by the hand like a young child. This is Deuteronomy. There you saw how the Lord your God carried you as a father carries his son all the way you went until you reached this place. And this is the generation that didn't get to enter. Add to this, here we see in verse 39, the little ones of that generation, the children who did not know good from bad, did not receive the punishment. They were able to enter the land. And I find it so fascinating, passages that popular Christian parenting teaching have landed on do not have any sense of this. They have chosen a swift, punitive, retributive, authoritarian father figure that has been fashioned after swift, authoritarian, unmerciful human fathers. It makes me think of this passage where Jesus says, if you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? Because here Jesus is like, you all know how to give good things to your children. Let me tell you, God's generosity is so far beyond that. How much more will he give good things to his children? And instead of landing there, we've landed here. Because we spank our children, how much more will God spank us? As this all is presented with framing like this is biblical or this is Christian, it really ends up trapping a lot of parents, particularly new converts or new parents who are overwhelmed and looking for help, because there's a lot of Bible-y language. A lot of times people are picking up these resources just because they want some practical help. So they may not be equipped or interested in critically thinking about the theological content, what I call stowaway doctrines. As a result, not only are people caught up in these different parenting practices that are just an author or a teacher's opinion, but they end up believing some distorted things about God. And that becomes spiritually formative, not only for parents, but for children and for entire families.